and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Hello, welcome into a Monday edition of Running Point. We're kicking off the week with a coach's interview from the top of the show. Anthony Hartwig alongside Ty Bartell, and we are joined by the Waterloo girls basketball coach, Kevin Mugenegger. Coach, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Hey, thanks guys for having me on. Appreciate it.
Coach, as I like to say about this Waterloo girls team, it was a very young team that I think got a lot of valuable experience last year. Let's do a sort of meet the team segment to start off and talk to me a little bit about what you're returning this year and some of the new faces we're going to be seeing.
Well, we return what I think is one of the best point guards in the area in Rose Couts, and also strengthening that position. You know, at times we can play with 2 point guards. Lily Foster is a sophomore. Rose is a junior. Both got Rose obviously logged a ton of minutes for us last year. Then at a small forward position, Abby Mazer returns as a junior. Kara English returns as a sophomore and is just quite a force inside and on the perimeter as well. And then kind of some new faces that'll be getting a lot of minutes for us. Junior Jewel Lilly, more of a traditional post type player. And then on the perimeter, Kaylee Webb is a sophomore, be getting a lot of minutes as well. And newcomer primarily for us, they increased my recruiting budget this year. And so we took the Waterloo team plane over to Denmark, and we have a girl from Denmark, 6 foot, Olivia Kolstrup. Now that's obviously a joke, but she is an exchange student, and she's been fun to add to our roster.
Let's talk. I mean, jokes aside, the ability to kind of get someone from a different country, and obviously Europe has a different style of basketball over there. What has it been like to kind of incorporate that and try to take things for the best of both worlds and try to learn from her and have her learn from you guys? And what's it kind of been like to work with that?
You know, this is in my my time at Waterloo. This is our third foreign exchange student, and you know, it just happens. I have to be honest, they haven't made significant impacts on the hardwood, but the relationships have been tremendous and still exist with the ones that have gone on back to their home countries. But Olivia may be the best of the 3 that we've had, and will help us in spots for sure. But it's fun to see the differences. It's great to see how they blend with the kids and how the kids pick up on things. And, you know, just as we use some terminology and things, you know, and you get this blank stare from the new kid, it's kind of funny at times, but we've been blessed with it, and a great experience, great lifelong relationships.
I noticed Waterloo had some of those on the volleyball team too, as well, and I think it's a unique program, and I think those are some of the most unique stories you have out there. Talk to me a little bit though about this schedule that's going to be put ahead of you, Coach. I mean, faring through it last year, I think you guys were well competitive in the MVAC for being a very young team. Talk to me a little bit about how you think you're going to fare in it this year and what it's going to take to grab a piece of that MVAC crown at the end of the season.
Well, I really think that since we've gotten into the MVAC, which I believe this is our 5th year now. First year we came in, we had a very good team and were able to compete up there and challenge. Didn't succeed but that was the year we actually made our district championship runner-up run there. And but this year, I believe it's the most balanced that the league's going to be. I was talking with somebody around here, local media, and I really believe there are 4 or 5 teams that have legitimate shots to win the league this year. You just don't have the head and heel dominant team like you've had over the past 3 or 4 years from the McDonald and Western Reserve and so forth. And I just think it's going to be fun. It's going to be competitive. Every night's going to be a challenge, I think, for a lot of teams.
Coach, we've asked this of the Western Reserve coach and McDonald's coach, but
Steve will lie.
Steve, from your perspective, playing against that level of basketball for 3 or 4 years, where they were, district favorites and regional favorites, does that raise kind of your players' game too? Now coming into this year, where you can be a team that can compete for the league, and you've seen firsthand what the standard is and what it takes to kind of be there from playing against it for 3 or 4 years?
Well, I would say yes. I mean, our kids know from Western Reserve and McDonald. We watched those girls come in at McDonald as freshmen, and Amy at the time there played those girls as a freshman, and got some valuable experience that year. And you just knew that was going to be a special group. And then Steve's had some great players the last few years there at Western Reserve. So yes, our kids have seen some of the best, not just in the area, but best in the state, to be quite honest. And so if we're going to compete at that level, obviously these kids have seen what it's going to take. And I think the biggest challenge is getting them to see what it takes April through September, if you will. I think that's maybe as important, if not more so, if you're going to compete at those levels.
Coach, I mean, being in the Waterloo gym last year when there was all these restrictions and getting the gym literally shaking at points, both on the boys and girls side for games, it just shows how loud and passionate the Waterloo faithful are. How excited are you to have this community kind of be back in full force to support these basketball teams, the girls especially?
That's been something we've been at all of our scrimmages. We as coaches just been talking about that. It's we're glad to be back. We know that there can be people to come out and see the games and do those things. And yes, we've had some tremendous support over the years. And obviously our guys have had a great run the last few years. And so yes, that gym's been packed many times on that end. And it's just Waterloo's a community that really supports their athletics very well. It's very important, and they take great pride in that. And I'm excited for that. And I know our kids are too. Our kids are looking forward to being able to play in front of people again.
You are the first coach that we get to talk to on game day. You guys open the season tonight at Alliance.
Mm-hmm.
Coach, I want to give you the chance to kind of preview this first game for the Waterloo fans and maybe what some of your goals are in the first game to see from your team and what you expect to see on the other end from the Aviators.
Well, our primary goal is we want to end the night scoring more points than they do. We want to keep it as simple as possible. But we were excited. Got to see Alliance play Saturday. They opened up with a game against Fairless, and Fairless played pretty well, and Alliance played pretty well in spots too. But from the Alliance perspective, they're athletic, they're long, especially at the guard spots. They're just kind of long and play an aggressive half-court man primarily, which is what they did at least Saturday. And so from that standpoint, I think there will be times that we'll be challenged that way a little bit. But I think the pace with which we want to play will be a little bit of a challenge for them. And I'm hoping to see us embrace that pace, which we have in our scrimmages, but scrimmages over the years they're different than game day. And so hopefully we get out and knock some of the jitters out early and have a good outing this evening.
I want to talk about that kind of growth from your standpoint that you've seen from the team and what the girls have really improved on over the course of the summer coming into this season. We know that freshman to sophomore and sophomore to junior year especially are huge points of growth in basketball.
Sure. Yeah, I think we've embraced the physicality a little more through the summer. One of the things we like to go down to Eastern Ohio to team camp, and it's just a good barometer, I think, for us as to not so much wins and losses, but I kind of look at the physicality of things and how we hold up and how we compete, and I was pretty pleased with that this summer. I think we're shooting the ball much better. I was listening to a podcast the other day. Sometimes you state the obvious and you think, duh, but and the coach that was speaking said, the game is very difficult when you can't put the ball in the hole. And, it sounds kind of, no kidding, but until you've coached some teams like that, you know what they're talking about. So I'm really pleased with how we've been scoring, the looks we've been getting, and that's exciting to see the growth that we've seen there.
Coach, all throughout the season, when we talk about Waterloo girls, we've been talking about all the stuff that you return, and you do return a lot. But I think sometimes what gets lost is that you did lose a very good senior leader in Brooke Walden. Talk about some of the things that she kind of implemented into these young girls that you're kind of seeing them step up and know how to be a leader this year, because leadership is going to be important, and someone's going to have to step up and lead this team vocally and non-vocally.
Sure. We definitely will miss the scoring there. 19.3 points a game, which is the most we've had from any one individual in my time here. But not to take away from anything there, but I think the things that we've established over the years, and one of the gals that's helping on our staff this year, Leah Lulai, that played on my first three teams at Waterloo. It's just that as we've worked to build culture and the different things that are important to us, and we talk so much about kind of our buzz phrase is, it's not what we do, it's how we do what we do. And classic example of that, Becky Adelman just finished up her career at Westminster, not in basketball. She was a great basketball player for us, but she was also a great volleyball player, and she just finished up an outstanding 4-year career at Westminster, Player of the Year in the conference there, and they made it to the NCAA tournament. And we went over as a team to watch Becky here towards the end, and again, we talked before we went in. It's not about the sport, it's how she plays the sport. And we just feel that our kids are starting to embrace that. And, that's important to us, that, our way is unique to us. Some things that work for us don't work for others. But, I just feel that over the years, it's not just been one person, as your question alluded to. I think we've, building on the people that have come in the past. These kids are stepping up, and we really don't have a senior on the team this year. We're still pretty young, and so we're growing in leadership as well.
Coach, there's no doubt that the Waterloo community has seen some successful basketball teams on both sides over the years, and that's thanks in part to a culture. Cultures can't be created without good programs and good people running those programs. I'm going to give you the chance to shout out your assistants and some other big proponents in that Waterloo girls basketball program.
Well, I've been blessed. We kind of had a natural shakeup in our staff this year, just because I've had some outstanding staff members in Jenny Knoll and Kiana Rice and Mike Swinehart, and those guys were with us 3 or 4 years, and have aspirations of moving up in coaching, and then also for some some life events that have happened. So while there's been some change that way, Mike is still helping us out and directing. Wanted to take charge of our middle school program, which took a real hit through COVID and so forth, and looking to get some mojo back with that. And then, like I said, I'm just ecstatic to have a former player on the staff in Leah Lulai. And Leah embodies what we have tried to be about so much. Maybe never the most athletic player on the floor, but certainly a player that was invested. And I think I heard Lenny Acuff the other day talking about you can get players to live basketball or love basketball. That's when you know you're really making progress. And Leah's somebody that definitely was that for us. So I'm real thankful for who we have with us.
Coach, I want to thank you for your time today and giving us a good preview of the Waterloo girls basketball program. Good luck tonight and the rest of the season. We look forward to covering you all year, and we'll definitely talk to you again real soon.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate what you do. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Coach.
Bye.
Coach Kevin Loganecker, the head coach over at the Waterloo girls program, letting us start off the show with a great interview today on a wonderful Monday afternoon. Ty, I know you're very close to the Waterloo girls program. Can't say enough about what they have coming back this year and how exciting things are in that program right now.
Yeah, and my Waterloo, both basketball programs over at Waterloo are sweethearts for me as programs, and I'm excited for both of them too. I think the boys are going to be exciting, and I think the girls are both going to be exciting. A lot of young talent that they're bringing back, and young talent that's going to be sticking around for another season or so. So, I mean, there's a lot of excitement swirling around the Waterloo community, and I think right now in both areas of the MVAC, both boys and girls, they're wild cards right now. And for the fact that they're wild cards for how young they are, they're going to be wild cards for another season or so.
Yeah, and I think he's right. I think Rose Couts is one of the best point guards in the area, hands down, and we're going to see that shine very brightly this year, if I do say so myself, in my humble opinion. I think Rose is going to make a name for herself. The only thing she struggled with last year was just a little bit of confidence here and there. You know, you'd see her, if she didn't make a couple of shots firsthand, she'd kind of shy away from the shots the rest of the game. But you grow in confidence as you grow as a player, and I think we'll see a lot more confidence from her this year. And hopefully, for Waterloo's sake, she can maybe add, good point guard, 7 to 10 points per game, maybe 5 assists per game, which I think is very, very within her reach. And that would be, if all those 5 assists are twos, that's 20 points a game she's responsible for.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, that's if she plays true point, what she can, and she could play it very well. I mean, when you got it coming back in the interior and Kara English, that's only a sophomore, that's only going to get better and has already had a phenomenal season in soccer. So, I mean, it's going to be a fun season, I think, for Waterloo girls basketball.
She is an athlete, I'll tell you that much. I mean, we already talked about it. 95 goals so far in her career as a soccer player, and she's just a sophomore. On pace to break the OHSA record for career goals if she has 2 more years, just like the first 2. Something special is happening in the Waterloo girls soccer program, and she's hoping to take that success and connect it to basketball.
Hopefully, you say success breeds success, and hopefully the same rings true.
That has been the theme of this whole basketball season, because we've seen all these successful fall programs, and most of our teams on that YSN wall over there have multiple sport athletes, and a lot of those girls from that successful volleyball team shift over into basketball. A lot of boys from successful football teams shift over into football. So we're going to see a lot of success breeding success.
And of course, soccer from both boys and girls shift into both basketball too. So I mean, it's gonna be a fun season seeing some of the athletes, and it's kind of fun because you pick a couple of the soccer athletes, a couple of the volleyball athletes for girls side, and for boys side, it's the soccer and the football athletes for the boys side that come into basketball. So you see some mingling of the two sides.
I don't want to leave out golf either, because Michael Porter.
You're right. Michael Porter is a better golfer than he's a basketball player, and he's a pretty darn good basketball player.
He's a heck of a golfer, I'll tell you that much. And he's going to be one of the key names at McDonald boys basketball team.
Michael Porter is, the real deal on the golf course and on the basketball court.
So we had a lot happen over the weekend, Ty. We have some final score results from the opening weekend of girls basketball. We have final score results of the football playoffs. Want to start with the football playoffs and kind of recap these 4 games that we had over the weekend, 1 on Friday, 3 on Saturday. Start with Ursuline West Branch, Ty. We knew this was going to be an offensive game, and like they did all year, West Branch's defense did enough to let their offense pull away with the game. Wasn't a perfect defensive performance. You never want to give up 35 points, but they made a couple of key stops. Their offense capitalized on every stop that the defense made, and really Ursuline ran away with this game 64-35.
Yeah, and I mean, if you want to say anything, Ursuline was ready for West Branch. And you know what? Ursuline has made the necessary adjustments this entire playoffs. And I mean, from every opponent that they faced, I mean, what we've said defensively, and I think it was kind of the call what we said too in the end of the regular season. It's not about being the best defensive team because you have enough offense to score and get you out of some slumps. You just have to be good enough on defense. Just make a couple of stops. And I mean, they made enough stops necessary, and their offense had a heck of a night. Ursuline now going to the state championship and well deserved now. 2 wins away.
State semifinals.
That's what I said. Well, state championship tournament. I mean, it's a final four. I also followed it up with saying they're 2 wins away from a championship. So
there we go. Yesterday the sites were announced. By the way, Ursuline, after that dominant performance, they will play Port Clinton, and they will be back at Euclid. Port Clinton playing the Euclid Community Stadium Friday at 7:00. Ursuline played there 2 weeks ago when they beat Glenville, so they're familiar with the facilities. Talk a little bit more about this Ursuline attack. DeMarcus McElroy had a heck of a game, and we thought that would be a big key in Ursuline's offense, getting the run established and trying to control the clock as much as they possibly could. Obviously, when you're scoring 64, you're scoring pretty fast. You're not really controlling the clock per se, but they still definitely dominate on the run game first, which set up their pass.
Yeah, no doubt. And DeMarcus seems to shine when the lights are the brightest. And I mean, in big game situations, DeMarcus has come up huge multiple times this season. He came up big again, which opened up the passing game. And we already know what they have in the attack for the passing game.
Whew, they have a lot. And Dean Boyd's in there. Jalen Irving made a great play as well. A couple great plays. They just have so many weapons that can beat you. They overwhelm the West Branch defense. But we should take this time to remind people and kind of close the book on West Branch fall sports. 3 EBC championships combined with the fall sports, I believe. And then volleyball was close to an EBC championship. They just couldn't quite get past Marlington, but they finished second, and they only lost a handful of games. So volleyball was very successful in the fall too. What a fall season for West Branch, and I don't think anyone in the West Branch community should feel anything other than pride. Despite the loss in the regional finals by their football team.
Yeah, no doubt. And the basketball team's already established real well on the girls' side with a great game against Garrettsville. And now the boys, a lot of players from that football team are coming over to the basketball team. It's going to be fun times in West Branch for basketball season as well.
The only person that was smiling hard, not smiling hard, but you know what I mean, like finding the silver lining very quickly was Michael Brown, because he knows that now he gets a chance to get his hands on Drew DeShields and Jackson Hendershot, and they'll both be on the hardwood doing their thing, and they're very good basketball players. Jackson Hendershot is a very extremely talented guard for West Branch. He's going to be a force, and hey, they can just go and win the EBC in basketball as well.
Yeah, no doubt.
When you talk about Ursuline versus Port Clinton, this will be an interesting game. We're going to talk about it more as the week goes on. We'll dive into maybe some Port Clinton scouting and see what they're good at, what Ursuline's good at. But, man, you said no one's ready for West Branch. Now I'm going to start to say no one's ready for Ursuline. I think we got to flip that storyline.
I don't know if I'm going to go with Ursuline yet, though, because here's the only reason I'm not going to go with Ursuline. I feel like that's a tagline. You got to go with someone that doesn't have a loss on their record. They got to be undefeated, and they need to just be rolling.
Because that would mean no one.
Because then I could just easily say, well, 3 opponents were ready for Ursuline this season.
They were ready, but no one right now is ready. And that's the thing. That no one is ready for Ursuline. means
At this point in
at
time,
this point in time.
this season, these three people were ready for Ursuline.
That sentence establishes that it's from here on out. Like, no one's ready for Ursuline. So that doesn't mean that no one wasn't ready for Ursuline in the regular season.
I don't think Ursuline needs to have this mentality, though, of being this unbeatable thing. I think Ursuline needs to just keep doing what they've been doing and just taking it one possession at a time, utilizing their superstars in key moments, and just letting talent do what talent does and take over ball games. And Ursuline, I mean, they were ranked number 1 in the season, so they came in with that kind of, I think, superstar mentality, that Superman mentality. Some losses came on, and I think there was some struggles midseason. But I think what Coach Reardon did really well, I think it was a humbling experience enough to make these guys realize sometimes you got to play small ball football, and sometimes just get it to the hands of the guys and let them do work, and just give guys their best opportunities. And I mean, it doesn't always need to be a 40-yard in air pass. It doesn't always need to be a big breakaway run. And I mean, what we're seeing Ursuline do is exactly that. Get the ball in the hands of the best players and let them do work.
So that happened on Friday. Saturday, we had 3 games. We'll start with Division 5, where Kirtland just kind of they flexed their muscles. What else can you say? Kirtland's the real deal. We all respect Kirtland for what they did. We were all definitely hoping that South Range here at YSN could pull off the upset and go, but Kirtland set the tone early with the pick 6, and then it was kind of just Kirtland's game from that on out. I feel like to compete with Kirtland, to beat Kirtland, you have to have some things roll your way. And, to add on to the fact that Kirtland played a really good game, South Range just did not get some of the 50-50 stuff to go their way. And that just added on. That's why you saw the lopsided score.
Yeah, no doubt. And, I mean, we also got a hats off to Kirtland because we knew Kirtland wanted this game almost as much as South Range did. And I mean, we took it from the South Range side because, of course, they were the underdogs going into this one. But Kirtland, we all know they were talking about South Range from last year because of how close South Range came. So they wanted to come out and make a statement. I still think South Range can find the key to beat Kirtland. It's just their kryptonite right now. But hey, every team is and every streak is meant to be broken, and I think South Range is bound to figure it out.
They've played 3 times now in the last 3 playoffs. The first time, it was even more than this game. It was just all Kirtland all the time. Second time, we saw South Range go blow to blow with Kirtland. It was pretty close. This was one of those games where you could say it could have been close. There were times where it could have been close, and plays just didn't go South Range's way. Sometimes games that are more competitive than the score kind of dictates, and I feel like that's what this game was. You look at it, that pick 6 opened the game, set the tone early, and then South Range went down, tied the game up at 7. Kirtland scored the next 2 times. It's 21-7. Kirtland's looking like they're going to put the game away before halftime. It's they're driving. They're at, I believe, like maybe the 30, and South Range forces a turnover, gets a fumble. And then drives down to Kirtland's 30. Time running out, they have to come up with a little bit of a gadget play to try to get into the end zone. It gets intercepted, and then Kirtland gets the ball to start the second half, goes down and scores, and the game kind of gets a little out of hand from there. But you could say, okay, well, South Range got the ball first, and 9 times out of 10, they're not going to throw a pick 6. Pick 6 don't happen too often. It's not like that's going to happen every time they play.
Put you behind the 8 ball, though, immediately.
It's like I said, it set the tone really early. It made South Range on their heels for the rest of the game. I think after that, I feel like there was kind of a hesitation to kind of let Billy Scribback loose a little bit. Because, like, on that play, as soon as he dropped back, I'm watching thinking, don't throw it. I can see the kid breaking on the corner. I'm thinking, don't throw it. And he threw it. It was a bad read. I think it was one of those ones where the play design was to go outside the running back, and Billy Scribback just said, I'm going to go to there, and then threw it without maybe doing the necessary reading. Sometimes especially, got to remember it's his first year quarterback. You snap the ball and you just throw it. And unfortunately for Billy, that kid, it must have been you watch tape. They don't run that play a lot, South Range. So either Kirtland did some really heavy tape digging and really good tape study, or that kid just has a very high football IQ, because as soon as the running back started to leak out he was breaking. Like, he was on that ball as soon as it was there. It's pure football IQ or film study or both. That pick six, because he knew almost from the snap what was going to happen, and he jumped it. He jumped that route completely.
Yeah, and you know what, Coach Tiger up there in Kirtland is a real deal as well too. So hats off to what he's done with that program and what Kirtland is continuing to do in the nation. Impressive as they continue to roll.
Kirtland had, I believe, one big play for a touchdown. But other than that, we said one of the keys was South Range trying to avoid the big monster gash plays, and for the most part, they did that. But Kirtland did score without that too. I mean, props to them. The drive out of the halftime took 9 minutes off the third quarter clock. That was just killer. That was the game. That was, in my opinion, game over after that, because they took the second half kickoff, and they went, I believe, like 16 plays, 9 minutes for a touchdown, and made it 28-7. And unless something special happened and South Range scored really quick, big play, which is just so hard to get off of Kirtland, I said this game is not looking good. And that was just props, because we said it. One of the keys was not giving Kirtland the big play, and they didn't. But Kirtland was still able to convert some fourth downs, 4th and 2s, and punch the ball in with a 9-minute drive.
Well, that's the problem is you can't let up the big plays, but I mean, allowing defensive points either is not going to help too.
It's a double-edged sword. If you're going to play that slow bend but don't break defense and let them have
points on defense, then
give up points, because then you give up a 9-minute drive and they score.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's unfortunate, too, because it's like if it results in defensive points, like you said, too, it's like all that time that you worked on the clock now worked against you. Now that 6 minutes that you took to get to that point before a turnover, that worked against you. And in this case, it was a pick six initially, but still, it's like that's an initial blow that just gets you a little bit nervous to maybe throw the ball and a little bit nervous to run your offense. And, I mean, Kirtland, if they were winning the mental game, they're gonna thrive all over that. So, I mean, props, like we said, to Kirtland as their streak continues.
And it is the longest streak in the nation for a reason. And they, like I said at the top, they definitely flexed their muscles this night. Springfield, we go down to Division 6. They are heading to their third straight state tournament appearance. And it was a game where they struggled early. It was looking like, okay, Springfield's going to have a dogfight in their hands. Pulled away late and won by 14. That's 15. My math is 16. Sorry, 16, 43-27. I'm a Georgia Tech fan. I obviously did not go to Georgia Tech, where you need math skills to survive. 43-27 win over Mogador. Once again, a game where they had to kind of battle through some adversity, which is something we wanted to see Springfield kind of do when playing teams kind of quote unquote at their level that they didn't do in the regular season. But yeah, they battled through some adversity. They fought through it, and they ended up winning this game pretty easily, 43-27. Not easily, but you know what I mean.
Handedly enough. I mean, 16 points. I mean, it was a score enough too, where they had it well in hand with a victory. I mean, coming away late, 43-27. And I mean, the biggest thing we see too, Springfield again, 27 points. I mean, hats off to Mogador, but still, I mean, Springfield's defense putting up a pretty good performance against a Mogador team that is a very good offensive team. And again, like we said, it's the Springfield team has a different identity, and there really was not a hiccup though. Like there wasn't like this game. Yeah, there was a little bit of a challenge, but Springfield still had it well in hand by the end of the game. And it's this entire playoffs too. This feels like a different Springfield Tigers team, and it feels like a team that, like we said, because they've been there, done that, the identity of this team now, when they're playing these teams that in years prior they've struggled with, Norwayne, for example, but Columbia Station, but like now just rolling right through game after game. And I mean, this is a Tigers team that looks very impressive, 2 wins away now.
Yeah, and a big play as by the way, big plays for Springfield. We talked about big plays for Kirtland. Springfield had multiple 50-plus yard touchdowns. And that's just one of the things that if you are playing Springfield, if you're Mogador, or if you're anybody playing Springfield, you can't let that happen. You can't let them bust off 55, 75-yard touchdown runs. It's just it's like they're I don't want to. It's like their drug. They get high off the big plays, and then once they make them, they almost become this unstoppable monster where they just start rolling with momentum. And if it's like they can do anything.
And I'm telling you what, Bo Brungard is. He's on a mission right now, and I think he
Wants it so bad.
he wants that state title back, so that way he could go right over to YSU with some name to him.
What I love about Bo, and this is one of the things I've liked about him for a while, is every time you see a post-game interview with us or anybody, he's not one of those kids that, either outwardly he's not looking forward to a state championship. He's just, what's in front of me now? And I think that's one of the reasons why Springfield really hasn't been caught up by anybody either in the playoffs or in the MVAC in the last 3 years, because he's kind of, yes, he wants it. He knows what the goal is. Like, he set this goal, I want to win a state championship, and he's driving towards that. But he never gets tunnel vision to that state championship. He's always just, who's in front of me right now? Who's standing in my way this week for me to get to a state championship? And if you're standing in front of me, then you're screwed. That's like kind of his mentality. And that's what I love, because it's so hard for a kid to get that. Let's remember, he's a kid. Like, he's still a high school age kid. It's so hard for some kids to get that, especially when you're talented, to like not just, okay, we're going to go right back to the state championship and let's just get there and then we'll worry about it. Like, no, let's just focus on the team in front of us, and whoever that is, they're just a faceless opponent.
This is going to be the biggest challenge for them not to get tunnel vision, though, because when you're in the state Final Four, it's very, very easy to, being just 2 wins away, to sometimes overlook that one and look ahead. Hopefully Springfield doesn't, and I don't think Coach Guerrero will allow it, and I don't think they will. But this is going to be the hardest challenge for Bo and all the boys on Springfield now.
I actually think the regional championship is the chance for that trap game, because then you're playing teams you're still kind of familiar with. I mean, Springfield had played Mogador plenty of times in the playoffs, so I feel like that was the game where they could have been like a little bit lazy and said, okay, we're just going to get to our. But I think once you get to the Final Four, I don't know if it's possible to not respect the team you're playing and not
necessarily respect, but I mean, it's easy to start daydreaming a little bit about state championships right now, and this is the harder time to stay focused when you're in that Final Four. So
that's the one thing I was worried about Springfield in this game, especially because it was against Mogador, a team that they had played before and they were familiar with. I was like, I just hope they don't get into that trap game, because Mogador looked pretty good against LeBray. And maybe you could argue for the first half they were kind of going through the motions a little bit. It was a very competitive game, but man, they took care of business in the second half for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. And you know what? I mean, Springfield looked impressive, and stay focused, boys. You're 2 wins away right now.
And, our good friend Billy, he's back with the Shamrocks.
Nods to you, Billy. Nods to the Irish. I'm all Ursuline in D4 for the rest of the way. Don't worry.
Look at that. I love it.
What?
Hey, Ty. Shamrock. Ty did
I'll be throwing up the U for D4 the rest of the way.
Did pick West Branch, Billy. So I did too, though. So I can't put too much on him. I thought we both thought that West Branch just looked like they were kind of destined to win that game, but Ursuline said no. But back to Division 6. Congratulations to Springfield on that win over Mogador. They will now move on to play Cary, not the horror movie, not the telekinetic girl, but Cary High School on Saturday. That'll also be at Euclid. So we have a game at Euclid on Friday and on Saturday between West Branch and Cary. Not West. Geez, I'm on Springfield and Cary.
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, that's gonna be a fun game now. As it's gonna be exciting too. I mean, 3 teams that are fighting for a state championship now for under the YSN coverage. What did the Padres do this season, Billy? Since you became a fan of the Padres this year, what did the Padres do this year? I remember the Padres being a playoff team last year, Billy. What did they do this season?
They were more interesting in fighting with each other than hitting the ball out of the park. That's what happened. We moved to Division 7, and probably the most competitive. Oh my!
He's still going.
Probably the most competitive game of our weekend. JFK needing overtime to get the win and go to their second straight state semifinal appearance as they win over. Hold on, brain fart. They went over Dalton 20-13 in overtime, a game where they trailed 13-0 at halftime, and tied up in regulation with Antoine Brown putting on a show in the second half, running for over 190 yards just in the second half alone, totaling 244 in the game entirely.
He's a problem.
He had both regulation touchdowns to tie up the game. And then Caleb Hadley got the game-winning touchdown. JFK took about 4 plays to punch in overtime, and then an interception on the other end ended the game. I believe Antoine Brown was the one that picked it off at the goal line to end the game.
And you know what? I mean, Antoine Brown, like we said, he's a problem. Another 200-yard performance in big-time games against Dalton. And, you know, looking at the rest of the way for JFK, this was a great game, I think, for them to challenge them and test them a little bit because they haven't really been tested at all this playoff. So I think they need a game like this.
We gave props to Curlin. I want to kind of give props to Dalton a little bit. I know they're not one of our teams, but I still want to give them a little bit of respect because I don't think people expected much of them in this regional playoffs. They came in, everyone was thinking, okay, we're going to see
running clock is what I was hearing a lot.
We're going to see JFK and Lucas. It's a done deal. And Dalton came in and beat Lucas, who was I believe the 1 seed, if I'm not mistaken. They beat Lucas and they went up against JFK, who is the reigning state runner-ups, and they pushed them to overtime. And both teams had chances to win regulation, actually. Couldn't do it, but you know, you got to tip your hat a little bit to that Dalton team that just came in with the us against the world mentality and beat the 1 seed and almost beat JFK out of the playoffs.
Yeah, tip of the cap absolutely to them. And I mean, the program that came out, and boy, oh boy, they were destined for a second there to shock the world, and they were shocking a lot of people for a second. JFK ultimately did come through, and I think JFK came away with a lot more respect for Dalton after that game. And I think everyone in the JFK community with a little tip of the cap to what Dalton brought to the table.
So once again, JFK winning over Dalton 20-13 in overtime. They advance to the state semifinals where they will play Norwalk, right? Norwalk, I'm saying that right?
Yeah,
Norwalk,
St. Paul.
Norwalk Catholic, not Norwalk St. Paul. They already beat St. Paul.
Yeah.
This is Norwalk Catholic.
I thought you were talking about the week prior. I thought you were talking about who they beat to get here.
And because it's Norwalk again, JFK will return to Marlington, where they just played this week. They'll go right back to Marlington to play Newark Catholic, and that will be a 7:00 game on Saturday.
It'll be fun too, as JFK again 2 wins away. We got the Irish, Ursuline in D4, Springfield in D6, and JFK in D7. All 3 fighting for a state title.
So we had 3 out of 4 teams that went to a regional that we had a chance to got in. So 3 out of 4 still.
We're 3 out of 6 in the divisions that we represent, though. We represent 2 through 7 in YSN.
So here we go, and we have 2 games in the Euclid and 1 game in Marlington.
Yep, it'll be really fun though, as Division 4, Division 6, and Division 7, and I think all 3 of our teams have a really good shot at winning it all.
Really good shot indeed, and when you look at it, and we're going to dive into these matchups a little bit later in the week, as we learn more and more about the teams that our team is matched up with. And I got a little, it's gone. Teams that our teams are matched up with. It's going to be fun to kind of, you know, now we get into these teams that no one's really familiar with. They're like, who the heck is Norwalk Catholic? Who is Carey? Is that a 1980s horror movie that Stephen King wrote, or is that like a high school? Yeah. I don't know. And then of course, Port Clinton. It's like we just went there for soccer, for the soccer state semis.
Yeah.
You know, so maybe people like Port Clinton know who YSN is, and we'll be able to watch a little bit.
That'll be fun too. I mean, these are all going to be great matchups, and we'll look forward to looking ahead a little bit and in depth to them a little bit more in this week.
Yeah, and this is when rubber meets the road, and the great are separated from the good, and who's going to get to that golden city in Canton for a chance to hoist a trophy. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. As a lot of teams, one
Now,
away from being represented in that game.
2 of our 3 teams are looking to make it back again after last year.
Yep.
I think everyone kind of coming in to this season thought that Springfield had a legit chance to go back. I think people were kind of shaking on JFK. Like, will they be able to be that special again? They definitely answered the call, especially going through the season. They lost a couple of ones that made people a little bit scamperish on their opportunities to go through the playoffs. But here we are, JFK in their second straight state semifinal with a chance to go back to the state championship.
Yeah, no doubt. And Ursuline, after last year, the way it panned out, where Ursuline kind of lost everything and kind of lost their opportunity because
out of their control. Yeah, this is kind of a revenge tour against COVID-19.
And I think that's where they realized too. And it might have been Ursuline might have just had us all fooled. And I mean, not that they weren't playing 100% in the regular season, but they were ironing out the kinks for this playoffs because they really wanted to make a statement this playoffs and show everybody, no, this is the revenge tour because this is where we were supposed to be last year.
I think if you ask Coach Reardon, he would gladly trade those couple losses in the regular season for a chance to go to a state championship. I mean, if those losses are the things that made Ursuline better and good enough to get this far, then Coach Reardon would say, hey, we'll take those. We'll take a tough loss to St. Vincent St. Mary where everyone was starting to really doubt our chances because they got dominated in that game. And then look at the VASJ game. They pretty much got dominated in that game too. And everyone was like, oh, they're in their region. Like, this is going to be tough. And Ursuline didn't have to play VASJ because they got beat by Glenville. So, I think Dan Reardon would be happy to accept those losses if it means a state championship berth.
And you know what? The way things panned out too. I mean, for better or for worse, it's gotten Ursuline to the state championship picture now, 2 wins away. And those 2 wins, if they're able to complete them, they complete the revenge tour and kind of prove to everybody what they should have been last year.
As we start talking about basketball, this also makes Coach Gunther, Coach Brink, and Coach Comlink wait just a little bit longer for their basketball players.
Yeah. Ursuline's gonna be fine. I think with Panky still playing that's gonna be fun too over there in Ursuline. And I think they're all gonna be fine. Yeah, basketball is fun though, because the thing is everyone makes it at the end. So
I think that I think Coach Brink is this wait because he has a lot of guys on that football team that are waiting to come back for basketball.
Well, Coach Gunther too said it best though, is that if you're lucky enough to have enough basketball guys or enough of a team to where you could be competitive, those younger guys too learn a lot in those games that they get to play, and then you bring in these football players that are physical, and then you could kind of start working with that team, and it's like an infusion of that physicality that brings into that team with the football players and sometimes some great shooters. And I mean, it gives those younger guys an opportunity to really grow early on in the season before the football guys come along. And those are why I think we usually see those teams that are successful in football season successful in basketball season because of the depth.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that'll be interesting, because obviously these teams are going to push back the first game of the season until they have their full team. But Coach Gunther brought up the point that even if you're there, you're not going to be in basketball shape until maybe end of December, beginning of January, because there's just a difference. There's a conditioning that you're running constantly. Football is physical, but it's not exactly a up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down kind of game where you're constantly on the run. So it takes a little bit to get into basketball shape. So, he said it best. I mean, you're going to have to lean on some of these guys that, like you said, have been there for the basketball first guys, are the ones that he called them, until guys coming off of football kind of get back into the rhythm of basketball.
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, that's why it's always fun, I think. And that's why we see those teams, because of the depth. I mean, depth is so huge in basketball.
But then, you feel for the teams that don't have depth outside of their football team. And they're playing games with maybe 5 guys that have been there for them through October, and their depth is not there. So
But I mean, it gives those guys the chance to refine their skills until reinforcements come in to help refine your skills and strengthen your core.
And like you said, everybody makes it. So if you drop a couple of games while the basketball players are finding their rhythm, no big deal. If you're sharpened and as good as you can be at February, I think every coach is okay with that trade off.
By tournament time, yeah. If you're ready to go by tournament time, I think any coach is going to take that.
So as we get ready, we're going to be talking to Dana Bolish at 1, of course, and we'll have a lot to talk about with him. After that, we're going to recap the weekend action as basketball, and then Ty, we got some games tonight. We got some games on the network tonight as basketball starts getting a full swing now. A lot of the girls programs in the area getting started tonight. I think, if I'm not mistaken, we should have every program at least have one game by next Monday. I don't think anyone starts later than next Monday. So we're starting to get everyone kind of kicked off. We got some teams kicked off over the weekend. Some teams are playing their second game on Monday after playing on Saturday. So we'll be interested to see. I think the games that are most interesting are the ones that between teams that are kicking off the season against teams that already have a game under their belt. That's going to be really fun because then we get to see one team that is clearly able to make adjustments and know what they're good at, know what they're not good at, and then another team that's just starting to find that out as far as in-game. Because you can scrimmage as much as you want, but when the lights come on and it's an actual varsity, counting against your record, it's just different. So it'll be fun to see what teams make adjustments from their first game, what teams don't. We had some very interesting scores, a lot of thrilling basketball over the weekend, and we will recap all of that as the show goes on as well.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, 13 games we're going to be picking from tonight, 8 of them going to be on the network tonight. So, I mean, we got your night loaded up with basketball as well. And, I mean, get out there to some games as well if you're not doing anything tonight. And if you're tied up with something, we got you covered with 8 of them on the network.
I won over the weekend 6-4. Just pointing it out. I have a 6-4
early.
Lead.
It's early.
It's early. It is early, but Anthony takes the early lead 6-4 over the weekend. And while we have maybe a couple minutes, let's just go to one game, recap it. Then we'll take a break and we'll get Dana on the line, and then we'll continue our recaps. After we get Dana on. So you'll look at the weekend of basketball. We had a lot of games go down to the wire on Friday, and we start with where I was at, Camel hosting Sebring. And man, this game was admittedly more fun than I thought it was going to be. I'll just admit it. I thought both these teams trying to establish their name in their program. I thought it was going to be kind of slow, methodical, very low-tempo basketball. No. They both play fast. They both tried to push the tempo. And this was a really good game that Sebring had the lead for the whole game minus 3.8 seconds. But it was a 3.8 seconds that mattered for Camel because they took the lead with 3.8 seconds to go, and they win this game 51-50. Incredible heart from a Camel team that because of COVID and some other things had to shut their season down early last year. They get a new coach. They get John Childers back, and they get a 51-50 win over Sebring. Kayla Marshall lit the gym on fire. 25 points for the lone senior on the Red Devils team. And, Devin Reggie had a good game too, 20 points for Sebring. The difference was, Ty, we're going to hear from the coach of the Camel and Kayla Marshall as we got post-game interviews from both of them. But the difference was once Sebring's point guard, Delaney Reggie, fouled out of this game, it felt like that was when Camel started to take over, force some turnovers with their press, and make a run that was, I believe, 14-2 for the last 2:45 of the game. I mean, they were down by 11, by 10. They were down by 10 with 3 minutes to go, and they won this game by 1.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, this is one of those games, like we said, maybe not a lot of people were looking at this game and giving it much thought about it, watching it on the network or going to it. But this is why I push basketball season so heavily, too, especially on the network and especially in the high school realm. Any given night, man. any given night, a game can be
It was
exciting.
wild. It was
And
wild.
I'm convinced after that. I'm convinced after last season and any given night, go to any team, support your teams, watch them on the network. Any team can surprise anybody on any given night.
Let's hear from head coach John Childers and then Kayla Marshall about this win in Camel on Friday night. First, we'll hear from Coach Childers. Anthony Hartwig here with the winning coach for the Camel girls, John Childers. John, what a win for this team. They were trailing the whole time, found a way to come back and get the 51-50 victory over Sebring. What did it take to kind of get this gutsy performance?
We had to have heart the entire game. We put ourselves in a bad position in the first quarter, going down 15-8. But we battled. We pressed at the right time. We were making sure that we were in the passing lanes. That was a hard-fought victory. That Sebring team is much, much improved from years past. Hats off to them. They got a deep group of girls. They got girls that really know how to play and play the game right. It just was a hard-fought victory. Unfortunately for them, we hit the shot at the very end to win the game. They deserve that win just as much as we did. Just really excited for our girls.
After that first quarter, you put on a press that really gave them trouble, forced a lot of turnovers for you guys. Talk about winning to make that decision and how much do you think it really helped you guys?
Well, we're an athletic team, and we had to really rely on our athleticism. We're working on building that basketball IQ and doing some higher level things. Obviously, in the first quarter, it showed that we're not where we want to be yet. So we really had to rely on our athleticism. We made some great plays defensively. It got us back into the game, after the first half, and it really ended up ultimately winning the game for us.
Got to talk about your senior leader, Kayla Marshall. Never gave up in this game. 25 points tonight, Spirit Brothers player of the game. Talk about what she means to this team and how well she played tonight.
Kayla, she's very dynamic. She's one of my favorite girls. I taught her in 8th grade. I've coached her now for 3 years. She's the heart and soul of this team. How we do depends on how she does, and she had a heck of a game tonight. Left it all on the floor, and I couldn't be more proud of her than I am right now.
Let's talk about that last shot real quick for Madison. I mean, was that what was thrown up, or was that just one of the ones that came out of a broken play? Talk about that last sequence.
We didn't have things go our way there, towards the end of the game with, there were a couple miscommunications there with the referees. So I wasn't playing for overtime. I didn't want the game to be in their hands. I wanted the game to be in ours. We got hot a little bit, and I said, we're not playing for overtime. We're going to play for the win. So I knew they were going to really put pressure on Kayla Marshall. So we wanted Madison Sugar, our junior leader, to really step up, and she did big time.
Coach, before we let you go, how do you use this win to build the momentum in what we know is going to be a very tough MVAC this year?
It is momentum. At least we have some, and it's not going the other way. Our girls needed this win. We needed to prove that the hard work in the offseason paid off. So we have some momentum. We have some, a decent schedule to start us off. So hopefully it can lead to a few wins so we can get our hopes and aspirations up and maybe steal one,
Coach, thank you so much for joining us, and good luck the rest of the way.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Anthony Hartwig here with tonight's Barrett Brothers player of the game, Kayla Marshall, the lone senior on this Camel team. 51-50 win over Sebring. Kayla, what did it take to kind of get this gritty performance? You never led the whole game until those final 3 seconds.
Basically, it just took a lot of confidence. We were lacking confidence in the beginning, but we just, after we got that talk from coach, we just had to keep our heads up and win the game.
You have found a rhythm in that fourth quarter, hit a lot of big shots down the stretch. How did you dig deep and really kind of hit some big shots for your team at the end of the game?
I always knew that the shot was in me. It just took a lot in me to bring it out, and I'm so happy that I brought it out.
You were also playing that fourth quarter with your 4th foul. Talk about the aggressiveness, why you had to play smart, and what that was like kind of going through that.
It was very tough, actually. When you in deep trouble like that, you got to just remember in your head, I can't do this, I can't do that. Just keep your head up and keep going.
As a senior leader on this team, what kind of responsibilities do you take to kind of try to get this team up when they're down like they were tonight and get wins like this?
I was really telling the girls, like, come on, y'all, like, we got this. Like, we're a good team. Like, everybody, I've been in this for a lot, and I just wanted to let the girls know, like, it's in them. Like, just bring it out.
Let's go through that last shot, what it felt like when Madison hit that three and you guys were up by 1 with about 3 seconds
I
to
was
go.
so happy. I know the team was so happy. Like, this is a lot for me. I wanted this, and I made sure that I got this.
I asked Coach this, I'm going to ask you it too. How do you use this game as momentum for the rest of the season?
I just have to make sure the girls are in line, make sure I'm in line, and we just got to take this win and keep it coming.
All right, Kayla Marshall, once again, congratulations tonight's Baird Brothers Player of the Game. 25 points in Campbell's 51-50 win over Sebring.
Thank you.
And that was Campbell head coach John Childers and their.
As Anthony was saying, that was John Childers and their lone senior Kayla Marshall. As that was exciting, though, talking with them too, and just taking away from that interview too, and what Kayla brings to the table. And you just hear how she talks about it, and it uses a lot of the responsibility of making sure she's in line, making sure the girls are in line, and that's the kind of thing I think really respect from your senior too, and how much responsibility she's taking it upon herself, saying that she's responsible for the team and how this team acts and how they behave on the court. And a lot of respect and a lot of leadership being shown by the lone senior over there at Campbell.
Sorry about that. That was straight up user error. No glitch. Gremlins says Anthony clicking the wrong button. So
that's all right. That's all right. We carried you through it too. I talked a little bit about it. We're all good.
So we're going to take a quick break on that note. And we'll be back with Dan and Bolish on the line, the sports director over at TV 21. Don't go anywhere. Running Point brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
New things happen all day. Some are good, some not so good. In today's complicated world, while you're busy working, playing, and living life, we're busy helping you make sense of the day's news. And there's only one place where it comes together with clarity, context, and accountability. It's 21 News at 6 with me, Madison Tromler, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 6. It's what the day's news really means to you.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends, shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring. And, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
At Greenwood Chevrolet, shop with confidence knowing we're ready to go the extra mile for you. With the largest selection of used vehicles in the Valley, backed by the Greenwood Advantage Warranty. Every one of our vehicles has undergone our own 126-point inspection, so it passes the most important inspection, yours. No other dealership has the extra inventory, gives you extra for your trade, and goes the extra mile for you. Only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
When looking for home design inspiration, don't just be inspired, be Baird inspired. Whether new or remodeling, Baird Brothers has the latest trends like shiplap to refresh your home. Go from inspiration to installation with our wide selection of in-stock American hardwoods. From the rustic charm of antique oak to the warmth of traditional cherry, Baird Brothers has what you need to make your home inspiring. Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
For a great vehicle and a great experience, come to Boardman Mitsubishi today. As always, our full lineup of Mitsubishi models comes with a standard 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Boardman Mitsubishi, your hometown Mitsubishi dealer since 1999.
Coca's Pizza, always supporting our community and our local athletes. Stop in on game day or score big and have it delivered right to your door. Check out our daily specials at cocaspizza.com. That's Coca's Pizza. We serve it hot.
At Hubbard Chevrolet, Hubbard can help you get the financing you need regardless of your situation. I'm Tony Page, and I've helped thousands of customers in Northeast Ohio and Western Pennsylvania buy a vehicle. Visit HubbardChevy.com to get pre-approved. Remember, folks, Hubbard can help.
You're not waiting to see what the world has in store for you. It's more about what you have in store for the world. All you need is the opportunity. All you need are the resources of a large university and the advantages of a personalized academic setting where you can experience new worlds in the arts and sciences, business, and education and make them your own. We are where you shape your future. We are Youngstown State University and proud.
Welcome back to Running Point Monday edition on ysnlive.com, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. As we are every Monday, we are joined on the phone line by TV21 Sports Director Dana Balish. Dana, thank you so much for taking the time with us this week.
My pleasure. Happy to be with you guys.
So as we look at the weekend that was, we had 3 out of our possible 4 teams get to a state semifinal. What were some of your takeaways from these regional championships? And now that we get ready for a state semifinals, what are some of your thoughts about what's going on in the football world?
Well, I thought, Ursuline and West Branch would be a shootout. I thought there would be more than, 75 points scored in that game. And, certainly there hasn't been a lot of teams that have been able to slow Ursuline down. And, I thought if West Branch can make it close, they may have a shot at the end, but Ursuline prevailed. On Saturday, Springfield, I thought, would be Mogador. I think the game was a little bit closer than what the final score indicated. JFK battled back from behind. They were down 13, and certainly that was good for them going forward against Newark Catholic. And then, Kirtland, I thought that would be a tough go for South Range, and it certainly was. But we have 3 teams. First time since 2005, we have these 3 teams in the state semifinals, and I would think, a couple of them can make it to the championship game.
We have 2 games going on in Euclid. Ursuline will play there, and Springfield will play there as well. What about, I know you always say teams would always play in a parking lot, but the travel and getting back there, do you think there's any advantage to Ursuline to have already playing there and being familiar with the facilities and the way things are run down there?
Well, I think anytime you could, play somewhere where it's not new to you, it's an advantage, especially at this point. So, again, I'll go back. The state has had trouble finding spots. I mean, Port Clinton is near, Sandusky, and again, I go over, a lot of the, games that I've covered in the middle part of the state where, just some of those schools have not decided to host. And there's a variety of reasons, but, where they're playing, it doesn't matter. I think Ursuline with their offense, I don't know much about Fort Clinton, but if Ursuline plays the game that we, all are used to seeing, then I would think Ursuline can move on.
When you talk about, maybe in your opinion, one of the teams that you think has the quote unquote best shot to get to a state championship game, what teams pop to your mind?
Well, if you just look at the history, and I haven't studied the opponents, but Newark Catholic always, is always, in the state semifinals or something like that. JFK may have the toughest task. Again, I don't know much about Cary, who Springfield is playing, and certainly I don't know much about Fort Clinton. But again, the way these teams have battled, I think they're 1A and 1B, to be quite honest.
And as we look at the start of basketball season as well, girls getting underway this week, and boys will be probably getting underway next week. Most of them, except for the ones obviously that are waiting for their football players. What kind of things excite you about this basketball season? You look at some teams around the area on both sides, maybe some teams that you're looking at that can have really successful seasons.
Well, Anthony, to be honest, I haven't really dived into basketball yet. To be
I
honest
feel
with you. I think the basketball season begins too early, to be quite honestly. High school and college, I think, begin too early. I'd like to see them begin sometime after Thanksgiving. But, the girls started on Friday. The boys will start, I guess, technically after Thanksgiving on Friday. But I think, January is the time really to, I think that's basketball season. But again, you got to play the games. And when you're playing 22 regular season games, you got to play those games. But it's too early to tell. I think Struthers could be pretty good. That's just off the top of my head. But again, I haven't looked at one basketball roster or one basketball schedule. So I have to defer on your question.
It's all good. It sneaks up on you real fast. I know we at YSN kind of feel you as well as we try to gather ourselves for the start of basketball season. YSU has been on their way for a while, and their men's basketball coach, you tweeted this out yesterday. Coach Calhoun said that yesterday's game was a low point in his 5 seasons at Youngstown State. They lost to Northern Illinois. What do you think it was about this game that really kind of hurt Coach and made him say a statement like that?
Well, I think if you look at the weekend on Friday, you're playing in a 3-day tournament. You're playing it at home. On Friday, you lose one of your best players for the season. On Saturday, you get beat on a buzzer beater. And then on Sunday, you put up 53 points when you were averaging close to 70. So I think it was just a 48-hour span that was not good for YSU. I think it was out of frustration. I think, YSU has to go back to the drawing board a little bit. Covington has gone for the year with the Achilles. So now you have to decide what you want to do. Garrett Covington was a very vital part of this men's basketball program. And I know Coach Calhoun was counting on him a lot to contribute. And when you lose someone like that, it's kind of back to the drawing board, because all that work, all that game planning you kind of put in during the off season, now kind of some of it goes by the wayside because now you have to put different personnel in. So I just think it was a frustration standpoint. You go 1-2 in your own tournaments. Again, you lose your best player, you get beat on a buzzer beater, and then you come out flat. I think any coach would, probably feel the same way.
The women start the Horizon League play earlier than they've ever started in program history, and they get 2 wins over the weekend against Oakland and Detroit Mercy. Impressive start for the women, and they have the player of the week in the Horizon League as well, in Lily Ritz. What have you seen so far, and do you think this is a sign of really good things to come for the women's program?
Well, again, I think it's too early to tell. I think, they have a lot of new players, and the way you get better is by playing together. And that's coach talk. I think there's some validity to that. I think, when you practice against each other, okay, you know what to expect. But when you go up against competition, I think, that's a little bit different. They got a good win over Eastern Michigan. They beat an Akron team, by single digits. Then they get the 2 conference wins. So, they're playing good right now. They play Friday afternoon, the day after Thanksgiving, against LIU. In a game, it's a game they should win. So, you got a schedule to be successful, and I think they've been able to do that. But the Horizon League is one of those leagues where there's some pretty good teams, and you want to be playing your best basketball when you begin conference play. So it's a little unique for the men and the women in the Horizon League because you play a couple of conference games, then you go into conference play, then you go outside of conference play again. So That's a little unique, but when you have 22, or I think you got to get 22 league games in, you got to start sometime.
And like we do every week, Dana, before we let you go, I want to give you the chance to kind of promote what's going to be on the airways this week for 21 Sports, and what fans should look forward to when they turn the dial to that channel.
Well, we'll have Mark Porter on tonight, again, our insider, and he'll break down the three state semifinal matchups with Ursuline, Springfield, and Warren JFK. It's Ohio State Michigan week. We'll hear from Coach Harbaugh tonight as well. We'll break down these state semifinal games a little more in depth as the week goes on, and then Friday it's game time for Ursuline, and then two more on Saturday. So little different week with the holiday in the middle of the week, but as we find out in the world of sports doesn't stop because of the holidays. So we'll do our best to keep fans updated on the local teams and also the two teams in Western Pennsylvania.
Dana, thank you so much for taking the time like you do every week. We appreciate everything you do at 21 WFMJ, and we look forward to talking to you again next week.
I appreciate it, Anthony. Have a good holiday.
You too, Dana. That was Dana Balish, the sports director over at 21 WFMJ, and having his weekly talk with us. And we couldn't be more thankful for everything that our partners over at 21 do. And they're looking for a very, very busy week ahead. And everyone in sports media is right there with them. And I don't think Dana's alone in saying that basketball kind of snuck up on him a little bit. They were chugging hard for these football playoffs, and all of a sudden they look to their right, and hey, there's basketball games on. So everyone's trying to kind of gather themselves and get ready for basketball, and we are no different. So we appreciate him taking the time to join us, and man, what a great partnership we have in 21.
Why we're tag team partners, because basketball catches up on it. You just tag us in because we got you covered with all these basketball previews throughout the course of YSN. And of course, too, tune into WFMJ tonight as they're going to be breaking down all three of these matchups too. So you can get really a good in-depth analysis on all three of these matchups tonight too, with WFMJ. So make sure you go in there to tune in.
Here's a newsflash. Mark Porter knows his stuff.
Yeah, no doubt.
From Scouting Ohio. So he'll be on WFMJ tonight, and you can maybe pull up a basketball game on your laptop while you have Mark Porter and Scouting Ohio previews on your TV, and kind of sip some tea while you watch both of them.
Yeah, no doubt. We'll have you covered on the basketball end and get your football previews tonight on WFMJ.
Before we get to tonight's games and our picks for winners on tonight's game, we got to continue our recap of the weekend action. We talked about Campbell's 51-50 win over Sebring. That was an exciting one. It came down to I want to call it a buzzer beater. It wasn't literally a buzzer beater, but it was a game-winning shot with less than 5 seconds to go by Madison Sugar, the junior for Campbell, putting that in. Beaver Local, they, just like Campbell, were down for most of the game. They made a late run. They beat Crestview 45-43 in Beaver Local. What an opening game and an opening season win for the Beavers. A comeback like that, never say die, and get the first win over a very good Crestview team that we think is going to be decent this year.
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, hats off to Beaver Local for getting the victory and ultimately coming away with the game one momentum now. And going into this season, it's going to be very tough for a lot of these conferences, but no doubt a huge win to start off for Beaver Local.
Yeah, and you look at the progression of the game as we look through the recap. And, man, yeah, like I said, Beaver Local was down for most of this game, and they win 45-43. They stole an inbound pass and got a layup and a foul to win that game by 2. That was the final play. They stole an inbound, got the layup, and got the bucket and the foul with about 7.9 left to go in the fourth quarter.
Unbelievable. And I mean, that's what we say any given night.
They were down. I'm looking for that halftime score real quick. I believe they were down by as much as 11 in the game. They made a 7-0 run to make it 40-36. And then they trailed again. Crestview responded. They trailed 42-36. They trailed 42-38. and then 43-42, and then of course the end of the game, that play that we just mentioned, the bucket off the stolen inbounds pass. 16-4 run in the final 4 minutes of play for Beaver Local to win that game.
Yeah, and I mean Beaver Local, I mean defense is key too, especially early on in the season too, if teams aren't as sharp on offense, and getting turnovers, forcing turnovers, and getting those turnovers to bucket ratio, that's huge too. And Beaver Local came through big.
And we both picked Crestview, so there's a knock on us. If you want to find a chink in our armor, we're not perfect, and we definitely missed that one last week when we were picking the games. But one that we didn't miss, and this one, once again, a thriller. We seem to have a lot of these in day one. Lakeview getting the overtime victory over East, 41-40, in what can you say, an opening season thriller again in East, as Lakeview wins by 1 in an extra period.
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, we knew this one was going to be competitive, and a good win for Lakeview to come away with the victory in overtime. And I mean, those overtime games too, that push you, getting those big wins in overtime, especially early on in the season, is absolutely huge.
Cardinal ran away from Wyndham in that game as the Bombers fall in the first game of the season. You were able to catch a part of that game. We unfortunately didn't. It was a late schedule change, and we couldn't get there for the full game. But you still got to see what made Cardinal pull away so fast, because it was competitive in the first quarter, and a chunk of that second quarter, just a 6-point game, and then Cardinal really ran away with it.
Both teams were able to force a lot of turnovers, honestly, but it was just Wyndham. There was a really a lid on the bucket, it felt like, the whole night. And I mean, Wyndham was getting good looks and actually taking some pretty good shots, but just couldn't convert on the good looks that they were able to create. And that just unfortunately led to Wyndham falling in this one, as Cardinal just simply more shots fell. And I mean, it sounds basic, but it quite literally was. It was just the shooting percentage. I mean, not that Wyndham didn't have good looks, not that they didn't take good shots. It was just shots just off iron, just couldn't find the bottom of the net. It was just one of those off shooting nights for the Bombers.
Another thriller on Friday night in Howland, as Angela Roshak for Canton Hoover hit a game-winning bucket with 1.9 seconds left to give the Vikings the 41-40 victory over Howland. So a heartbreaker for the Tigers to open the season, as they fall 41-40 on the last second shot from Canton Hoover.
Yeah, and I mean, unfortunate in this one, but I mean, a lot of competitive games early on in this season, and that's why we say any given night.
You ain't kidding. We saw a lot of very competitive scores. Latonia gets the opening season win over Heartland Christian, 50-40. Defense playing really well against a Heartland team that we know can score in bunches.
Yeah.
You muted a little bit, Ty, so you know.
I'm excited to get a good look at the Bears too tonight, because I mean, with that opening season victory for them, that should be a good game.
And we venture into Saturday. You look at West Branch. Man, did they dominate Saturday afternoon against Garfield on the road, 61-35. All Warriors, as they get the opening day win. And now West Branch will be tested tomorrow night against Canfield.
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, this is going to be a great matchup too. Both teams coming off of a victory against some tough opponents. This will be a fun matchup, I think, between the Cardinals and the Lady Warriors.
And then you look at it, and it's funny because West Branch scored 61. Hey, so did Canfield. They get the 61-50 win over Perry. This was the game I was at, and Summer Samarone went down with an injury. It didn't look super serious, but she gingerly walked off the court, was able to walk off under her own power, though. So it was definitely enough to keep her out of the game. Don't want to speculate with how much she'll be out or how long she'll be out or anything like that. But they did have to venture on the rest of this game without her. This is a Perry team that beat Canfield in the regular season last year, and then Canfield beat them in the tournament. So they split last year. This time, Canfield with a big second half. They win 61-50. Abby Mcelroy with 22 points, 6 3-pointers on the night for her, and Alyssa Dill with 18 points. We're going to hear from Coach Reel and Abby Mcelroy post-game interviews from Canfield's big win over Perry. Anthony Hartwig here with head coach Matt Reel after Canfield's 61-50 win over Perry to open the season. Coach, what did it take to kind of get this win? You had a slow start offensively, really picked it up in the second half.
We felt like we were getting great shots in the first half. We weren't making a ton. That's a very physical team, and I think it took us a while to get used to how physical they are playing defense. But we had a lot of faith in our girls that we were going to eventually make some shots. And we had a lot of girls step up when Summer went down. She's a 4-year varsity player for us, and we rely on her. And we had some people really step up, make some big shots and big defensive plays.
Talk about people stepping up. Abby Mcelroy with 22 points tonight, lit it up from behind the arc. When she's shooting like that, what kind of advantage is that for you guys?
Well, I mean, when Abby starts shooting like that, I think it gives everybody some confidence. And then if you got to go out and guard her and our shooters, then you got Alyssa Dill working in. It's a nice little 1-2 combination. Abby has worked hard on her shot, and she's kind of struggled with a little bit in the preseason, so we knew it was in her. I'm just glad she saved it for the first game here.
Talk about your defense and what it took to kind of keep them off the comeback trail in that second half, too.
Well, 24, Meredith, she's a really nice player. 20's been playing for a long time, and girls are idiots. But, we knew they were a handful, and I thought we did a pretty good job defending them. We tried to make sure that Meredith never felt like she was alone. We did that for most of the game, but she's going to Ashland for a reason. They're a really good team, and we're just thrilled to come out with a victory.
Coach, the hard schedule never stops. How do you use this as momentum heading into the next game?
Well, we try to go 1-0 every game we play, and we know how tough it is to go to West Branch. Quality program. Quality, it's just a really tough place to play, but we're excited to go down there. It's always been a great rivalry with us, and I'm looking forward to another great girls basketball game.
Coach, congratulations on the win, and we'll talk to you again real soon.
Okay, great, Daisy. Thank you.
Anthony Hartwig here with tonight's Coca's Pizza Player of the Game, Abby Mcelroy. Abby, what a great win to start the season. What did it feel like to finally get out there and get this season started?
I was so excited. It was just great to be back with my teammates. It's great playing volleyball, but it's also great being with my basketball teammates. And the win wouldn't be possible without them. We have great chemistry. We have great friendships, and it's just we're all close, and this win wouldn't be.
22 points for you tonight.
Yeah.
6 3-pointers. What went right for you?
Recently I haven't really been having very good practices, if I'm being honest, but without my teammates just driving and Dill kicking it out to me or Summer kicking it out to me, that wouldn't be possible. So, it's great.
Senior leader Summer Sammarone had to go out of this game with a little bit of an injury. How did you guys kind of bounce back from that and really come together as a team after she had to come out?
We have great players. Everyone has just really stepped up. Losing Summer is really hard on our team because she's a great player and we need her. But I think we had a lot of people step up, and it's good that we had people step up because it's just good. So
Win number 1 in the books. What's it going to take to use this as momentum for the rest of the season?
Beating Perry, it's always a great start. It's just awesome because Perry is someone Canfield always wants to beat. And it's just awesome because beating Perry it makes our team feel better because we beat a really good team from the Federal League. So
safe to say that this win kind of raises expectations a little bit for you guys.
100%. 100%.
Abby, thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations on the player of the game.
Thank you.
And we'll talk to you again real soon.
All right. Peace.
That was Coach Reel and Abby Mcelroy on their thoughts after Canfield's big 61-50 win over Perry. Not much better way to start the season than beating a team out of the Federal League to kick off your year. But it doesn't get any easier. They go to West Branch tomorrow night.
Yeah, no doubt it's not going to get any easier. But, when you look at West Branch, this is just going to be more competition for the Cardinals. And I think it's something that Coach Reel and the entire Cardinals team is not going to shy away from competition this year.
No, that is for sure. They never do. That's the thing. And I liked what he said. We always try to go 1-0 each game and not look ahead, because you can kind of get into that when you have a schedule like Canfield does. Oh, we're playing, such and such next. After West Branch, it goes to Marlington, part of a boys-girls doubleheader where the boys will play at 6 and the girls will play at 7:30. Marlington was in the district championship last year against Poland, so it really does not get any easier, not just at West Branch, but this whole week.
Yeah, and Marlington has always had a good program, it feels like, too, in basketball. So it's going to be tough, too. But I mean, this is the kind of sharpening you need for those teeth for the tournament.
Yeah, and then they'll have to do that the day after Thanksgiving. So they better get some rest after the food gets their gullet. So, want to talk about Mooney. They got the big win. Coach DiOrio starts his tenure with a 52-31 win over Columbiana on the road. So the road team goes on the road, gets a big win, and Mooney locks down at Columbiana 52-31. We both picked that one. So we both got that one right. You picked Perry. And I picked Canfield.
I did. And you know what? Props to the Cardinals for proving me wrong. But I mean, this is one, too, where I thought this Cardinals team was going to come through big, and they certainly did, as a big win for Mooney on the road, too, to start off the season.
Very interesting. The games that we separate us are the two games that we broadcasted that we picked opposite of each other. The rest we either both got right or we both got wrong. So that's where we sit right now, with me having the 2-point lead, but only because it was the two games that we both called that we both picked opposite of each other. And I think you just did it just to spite me.
Yeah, probably.
Because I picked Cardinal. And you were like, well, you're picking against the team I'm broadcasting.
Yeah, probably. So, I mean, it wasn't one where I didn't think that the Lady Cardinals of Canfield couldn't win it at all. Not even that case. I think I probably did do it just to spite you, honestly.
I wouldn't be shocked at all. We have games to pick tonight, and I believe 13, if I'm not mistaken, on the picks for tonight. And as always, we'll have the fan poll on our Twitter at Running Point YSN. You can vote with us. We already have a lot of votes for each game in there. We'll start with Malvern going to Lisbon. And you'll look at this game. The fan vote has Lisbon winning 68% to 32%. Ty, what do you think about this one?
This is going to be an interesting one, as I think both teams are just trying to establish themselves, but I think Lisbon will come away with this one.
I know Malvern was good last year, but I know they lost a little bit of their core. I'm going to go with the fans in this one. Anytime it's a toss-up for me, I try to go with the YSN team. I'll go with Lisbon as well to win this game. I think this would be a low-scoring game. They're both going to try to find offensive identity. But I believe the Blue Devils can get an opening season win, especially on their home floor.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Next game on the docket is Chalker going to Warren JFK. I forgot, by the way. Dang, I missed it. JFK got the win over the weekend as well over Cheney. And that was 59-37. JFK wins over Cheney. So they are 1-0, hosting a Chalker team tonight. And the fan vote has 93% to 7%. So someone picked Chalker, but not a lot. I'm not going to join them. I'm going to go JFK winning this one, and they'll move to 2-0 on the season. They were very impressive in day one over Cheney.
Yeah, I don't think Chalker. I think Chalker was a 5-win team last year. Not a pushover team by any means, but they're a team still, I think, trying to kind of figure themselves out. They might take that next step in development, but I do think I think JFK looked good enough. Yeah, I'll go JFK in this one as well.
All right, so we're both on Lisbon. We're both on JFK. We move on. This one is split 50-50. So we're going to have to be the tiebreaker here. Waterloo versus Alliance. Fan vote once again, split 50-50. We just talked to Coach Loganecker. Ty, I'll let you start this one off since I started the last one.
I'm not going against my sweethearts, against Lady Vikings.
I'm gonna say the Vikings as well. I think their athleticism and their tempo will put the game into a style that the Aviators don't like. They want to play a slow game of basketball with their length, and I think Waterloo and their athleticism and their speed will definitely let them push the tempo a little bit, and they'll get the opening day win over Alliance, says me. So we both picked Waterloo. We're both 3 for 3. The next one, this one is Jackson Milton hosting United. Both these teams are opening the season. And right now, the fan vote has Jackson Milton with the slight edge, 62% to 38%. Ty, this one's a toss-up. Both teams that we expect to be very prevalent in their league's top of tier. What say you on this one, opening the night in Jackson Milton?
Well, this one technically, isn't it you first, or did I pick first last one?
It is me. You're right.
Yeah.
It's me first.
This one is tough.
I'm calling this game with Chris Ziegler, by the way. So me and Chris will be on the call. I'm looking at it, and I can't shy away from Kylie Wilson, Chelsea Williams, and that strong United Jackson Milton core. I think the one thing that could trip Jackson Milton up is that, as far as I know, they have 7 people on their roster. That's why they don't have a JV team. Depth is going to be a key. Can they keep that tempo throughout the whole game, only rotating 7 players? I don't know. I think United might have more depth, but I think Jackson Milton pulls through tonight and gets the win.
Yeah, this one was hard for me because obviously we know United's going to be very, very tough in that EOAC too, and I mean they are going to be a tough team. But yeah, I was thinking Jackson Milton going into this one originally as well, just because I mean last year it was Jackson Milton, McDonald, and Western Reserve, but it feels like Jackson Milton's returning a lot, probably the most out of those 3. So I feel like Jackson Milton right now is kind of the early season favorites. Obviously, you give props to the teams until someone knocks them off. But yeah, I got to go with the Blue Jays in this one.
Yeah, so as of now, we're both just picking the same teams.
We'll get there eventually. I was thinking United, but Jackson Milton looked really impressive last year, and I can't expect them to take a step back.
Our next one is a lopsided fan vote, 92% to 8%. The fans are taking Brookfield as they go to Lakeview. Lakeview's 1-0. They got a big win in overtime over East. But Brookfield is a team that we expect to be very competitive in that MVAC grade tier. And also, of course, district runner-ups last year. How do you see this one going down in Cortland, the home opener for Lakeview?
Well, I got to say, too, Anthony, I thought Lakeview getting that opening season victory was very impressive. And I think Coach Haney is doing a great job in trying to establish that culture here. Seeing how competitive Lakeview is going to be in this one is going to be interesting to me because I think it's going to establish how well they're going to fare against some of their teams in conference too once they get there, because this is going to be a very competitive out-of-conference team. I think Brookfield, though, like we said, and what they're bringing back and how good they were looking, especially in the tournament last year, I got to go with Brookfield in this one and the Lady Warriors as well.
Matt Morrison will have the call for this one in Cortland. I can't go away from Brookfield in this one. I think Sophie Hooks is going to be too much for Lakeview to handle, and Brookfield's going to get the win tonight. We go down to Hubbard. And this one is, once again, Hubbard dominated for the fan vote, 73% to 27%, as they're hosting Camel, a Camel team that has a lot of momentum running off that buzzer beater, quote unquote. It didn't exactly beat the buzzer, but the game-winning shot with less than 3 seconds to go over Sebring. Of course, Hubbard's going to be a little bit different than Sebring, but I watched their scrimmage. They still have some work to do as well. They're young. You know what? I'm going to ride the train. I'm going to ride the momentum train. Maybe it's just because I saw them fight so hard against Sebring, but I'm going to ride the train, and I'm going to go ahead and pick Camel to get the upset tonight in Hubbard.
You know, there's a lot of energy riding around the Red Devils and the Lady Red Devils too. A lot of energy riding in Camel overall, but in this one, yeah, this one's tough because Camel is they're coming off of that victory and that opening game victory, and I mean it was impressive. But I think Peyton Slavesco was impressive, and I think a lot of the pieces that Hubbard has. I'm going to go with the Eagles in this one. So give me the Lady Eagles of Hubbard in this one.
We finally split.
Yes, we do.
Might just come down to that game. Who knows? We'll see how the rest of the picks go. As once again, the fan vote has Hubbard winning that game 73% to 27%. You can take part in the fan vote. The polls will be up until tomorrow morning. It'll be at Running Point Ysn on Twitter is where you can find the voting, and be sure to let us know who you think will win these games. Beaver Local coming off a big comeback win over Crestview that we talked about today. They get the trip down to East Palestine against the Bulldogs team that is coming off the regular season. However, there were 2 champions in the EOAC, East Palestine and Valley Christian. So I don't know if you want to call them co-champions. They definitely have an EOAC championship banner that they can hang. The first one in program history. So You'll look at East Palestine. They get to open the season against a Beaver Local team that is coming in with a lot of momentum. Actually, they're not hosting. They're going to Beaver Local. But, still same setup where Beaver Local trying to come off the energy off the comeback win over Crestview, and now they get East Palestine.
This is going to be a game that's actually going to be very interesting now because Beaver Local looked really good in that game against Crestview. But East Palestine was actually a pretty good basketball team last year, too. Good enough to be co-EOAC champs, and especially down the stretch where it was getting some wins. This one's really tough, actually, too.
I think we might split on this one.
Huh?
I think we might split on this one. I'm feeling a split. Let's see how you vote this time, since you're going first.
For me in this one, I think the win against Crestview was very, very impressive, and I think it shows some things, and I think momentum might be riding. Give me Beaver Local in this one.
No split. I'm going with Beaver Local too. I think their size is going to be big, and I think East Palestine, they're going to try to find an identity. They lost a lot of their pieces that made them EOAC co-champions last year. No more Jocelyn Fristic, which was a prolific shooter on the perimeter. So I'm going to take Beaver Local on their size in this one. So are the fans, 73% to 27%. You look at Mogador, they will travel to Wyndham. The fans have Mogador winning 82% to 18%. Ty, what do you think? You got the chance to see the Bombers in person on Friday night.
Yeah, I think this one will be this one certainly is going to be interesting. I think if the Bombers can convert on some buckets, they can definitely be sitting in better shape. I think it's your pick first with this one though, because I took the Beaver Local one.
I just wanted to give me a little bit of.
I know. I think really though it comes down to if the Bombers can just convert on their baskets, they were able to get looks. And what I saw, they were able to create looks and create turnovers off of Cardinal. If they're able to just finish those looks, I mean, they can be competitive within any game.
I'm with the fans on this one. I'm going to take Mogador to win this game.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the biggest key. It's going to be a learning curve, I think, for Wyndham, and it might take a few games in the season. I expect to see that growth, though, and I expect to see those shots start to fall. Mogador's just a really good team, though, and I think Mogador comes away with the victory.
A very exciting Lowville team that brings literally everybody back from last year. No seniors on last year's roster. They open the season as they host Matthews tonight. Fanvote has them winning 67% to 33%. Ty, now it's your turn to pick first. How do you have this one going down in Lowville?
Yeah, this one should be interesting too. And I think, you know what, honestly, with it being in Lowville, Rockets are always, I feel like, a strong with the basketball community. I think there's going to be a lot of energy on both sides this year. And I think with all the girls coming back, having chemistry has a lot to say for it. And I thought they were competitive enough last year in a lot of games. I think they're going to be really competitive this year. So give me the Lady Rockets in this one.
I know that Matthews girls athletics is strong. Obviously, their softball team went to the state semis. We saw how good their volleyball team was this year. But Lowville, like you said, I like the fact they're returning everybody. I like the fact that they feel confident this year in the MVAC. They feel like they can beat anybody in that conference. I like Savannah Prosick. I really like Sammy Moore on the outside. Capola rebounds really well. I'm going to go with Lowville to get this win on the road. At home.
Yeah, I think being at home is really going to be the big X factor in this one, and why Lowville comes away with the victory.
So we both pick Lowville. Now we go to Niles, where the Red Dragons open the season as they host LeBray. Fanvote has LeBray winning this one so far, 81% to 19% on the fan vote. Niles, one of the teams that we haven't been able to preview quite yet, but we're working on it very diligently to try to get Coach Butler in on Running Point. But when you look at just what Niles was able to do last year and how much they're in that rebuilding phase. They lost really good talent 2 years ago, and they're trying to recoup from that. I got to pick LeBray in this one, and I think Briley Daniels is going to have a big game for the Vikings, and the LeBray is going to go on the road and get the win in Niles.
Yeah, I'm picking LeBray as well in this one. I think the LeBray culture right now is really strong, and I think they like Coach said, I think they're ready to compete against anybody in this, and I think they have that mentality. They can go out and beat anyone in their division, and I think they could go out and get an opening game victory.
Dom O'Brien will have the call for that game in Niles, by the way. We go to Boardman as the Spartans are opening the season hosting Marlington. The Dukes looking to build off their district runner-up season of a year ago. And Boardman looking to build off a young team that is returning a lot of starters from last year. Coach Green in his second year at the helm. What do you see about this one? I think that Boardman gets to win at home. What do you think?
Yeah, for me in this one, I think Boardman is really going to be interesting in what they're bringing back. I think it's going to be exciting times in Boardman, and I think they're going to be a lot better than they were last year. But I can't go away from what Marlington did last year, and I think Marlington is still going to come back with a tough program. And Marlington notoriously has always had, I feel, good basketball programs going through it. So I think I'm going to say early on, too, it's always, for me at least, the motto is I go with the better overall programs and culture-wise overall in the last few decades, and I say Marlington is probably up there.
You'll look at the next one. That's one we split, so it's going to be 2 games that we're split so far. Latonia going to Sebring. You'll have the call there in Sebring. The Bears are 1-0, and the Trojans are 0-1. This is the only game between I believe the only game between 2 teams that have a game under their belt. So they both have an idea of what they did right, what they did wrong, and they've both spent the last couple of days making live adjustments to teams that are outside of themselves. So you're on the call for this one. How do you see this one going?
I think it can go literally 50-50 either way because Latonia looked really good against Heartland, and I thought Sebring looked really good against Camel, and I think Sebring could have, should have, would have won the game, but other things happen, and the Lady Red Devils had other plans, but still Sebring looked very competitive. I think this one being in Sebring is going to say something too, and Latonia's win did come in Latonia. I believe so, if I'm correct. So that's gonna. So I think it's gonna be a huge factor. Being in Sebring, having the Lady Trojans be at home. Give me Sebring in this one. I think Sebring can come away with the opening victory.
This is a tough one because I kind of want to.
It is very tough. That's why I was like, it's a toss-up for me.
I think Sebring will win, but I kind of also want to get some points on you, and I think Latonia can win. So that's why I'm struggling.
Yeah, I thought Latonia can win too. I'm just going because of home court advantage.
I liked Latonia's defense against Heartland, a Heartland team that we know can score in bunches. They held them to 40 points, which is very impressive. And Sebring struggled with a little bit of pressure. But man, Devin Reggie can score. She had 20 points against Camel. Delaney Reggie is a left-handed point guard that really handles the ball well, gets them out of some bad situations. Unfortunately for them, she fouled out, which was, I think, a big reason why Camel was able to come back in that game. Blake Thomas is another player to watch out for down low. Not extremely tall, but tall enough to get a lot of rebounds down there, and she definitely throws her body around. I'm going to take Sebring. I'm going to go with you. I think Sebring has a little bit more pieces, and as long as they stay out of foul trouble, they'll be fine. They don't have depth, so they have to stay out of foul trouble.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying too, and I think the home crowd behind them is going to be huge.
This game will be, I believe, 2 quarters of JV and then start at varsity. So expect varsity to start around 6:30, 6:45-ish with 2 quarters of JV and then varsity to follow.
Yep, no doubt.
You go to our next game to pick, and this is one that may be the marquee game of the night. Salem opens the season at Howland, and Howland coming off the heartbreaking buzzer beater to Canton Hoover. Ty, this one's hard too. I'm telling you, this one's hard.
And I'm so glad you get to pick first on it because I have no idea what I want.
You look at it, and I'm looking. I'm trying to see who's on the call real quick.
I think it might be Noah Ricks last time I checked.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it is. It's Noah Ricks.
Noah Ricks on the call. Good call. He'll have a good call. He got to call that buzzer beater against Hoover. Hoover's really good. Obviously, Howland struggled to score. We expect
Howland's going to be really good, though. Howland might win the AAC. Salem might win the EBC.
We expect Salem to be so good this year, but we haven't seen them yet. That's what makes this hard. Like, we don't know. You never know how a team's going to play in their first game of the season. You just don't. I don't know if Howland even practiced yesterday. I bet they didn't. I can't go off the Quakers. I think the Quakers are just a better team. They have more playmakers. I really like Riley Hutton. I really like the Abby Perry, the Davidson sisters, Abby Davidson. I'm sorry. I can't go off of the Quakers. Give me the Quakers even on the road.
I do love Coach Pounds and what he's doing over there with that Howland program, but I can't go against what EB is working on with the Quakers program too over there as well, and what Coach is doing. And honestly, I think the Quakers are going to be impressive. I think this is going to be a competitive game, and if you can't get out to this game and fill the boxes for it, watch it on the network. I'm telling you, it's going to be a fun one.
It really is, and I'm gonna see a lot from Howland, how they can respond from adversity, because that's a heartbreaking way to lose game one. So they'll have to try to bounce back, and then they have a tough team coming in. And wouldn't be surprised if they win, but like I said, I can't pick against what Salem is putting together.
Yeah, no doubt.
So let's recap, since that was a lot of picks. That's the games that are going on tonight, and how me and Ty kind of went. Oh, you know what? One got added to I didn't see it. Lordstown playing McDonald at McDonald. I'm going to pick McDonald in this one. I can't go away from a team that went to state.
Yeah.
I
Easy.
know they lost.
Easy.
I know they lost a lot, but until someone proves that they're really down, I'm going to pick McDonald. So
McDonald doesn't rebuild; they reload their basketball programs. Give me McDonald.
Okay, so that ends the picks. So Ty, just to recap, Lordstown and McDonald, we both picked McDonald. This is your last chance to change or say that I am wrong
before they're locked in.
This is going into the record. Malvern at Lisbon, we both pick Lisbon. You're good with that. Okay. Mogador at Wyndham, we both pick Mogador. You're good with that. Okay. Chalker at Warren JFK, we both pick JFK. You're good with that. Okay. United at Jackson Milton, I picked Jackson Milton. So did you. Both good with that. Okay. East Palestine at Beaver Local. We both picked Beaver Local. We're good with that. Brookfield at Lakeview. We both picked Brookfield. Good with that. Camel at Hubbard. I picked Camel. You pick Hubbard. So that's where we kind of differ. LeBray at Niles. We both picked LeBray. Latonia at Sebring. We both pick Sebring.
Yep.
Marlington at Boardman. I'm going to go with the Spartans in the home opener.
Yep, and I'm sticking with the Dukes.
You're sticking with Marlington, and I wouldn't be surprised if you get that one. But I just want to give Boardman some love. I think they're returning a lot of starters, and I think they're going to be a very formidable team. Matthews at Lowville. You get this one, and I feel like we both picked the Rockets, right?
Yeah, I picked Lowville on this one as well.
So we're both good with that. Salem and Howland, we both picked Salem.
Yep.
And we do have another one that has been brought to my attention, because it is not at a YSN school, but it is concerning a YSN school. I want to thank Mike Swinehart for giving me this one. East Liverpool going to Southern, Ty. Both teams are opening the season. And Southern obviously has Ashley Schroeds, who can score at a very high clip. It did not mean wins all the time last year. She was a freshman, and she tended to have off nights, but when she was on, oh my word, was she good. How do you see this one going in Southern?
They're not a YSN school, but I have so much respect for what the Southern program's doing basketball wise. I know the Lady Potters might be able to surprise some people, because at any given night, and I do think the Lady Potters might surprise some people all season. But I'm gonna go with the Lady Indians of Southern on this one.
This one's tough. Because last year, of course, Ashley Schroeds last year could score, but like I said, didn't always result in wins. I'm going to say year of development. I'll go with Southern too. I'll go with Southern to win that game.
I wouldn't be surprised if East Liverpool surprised some people, because the Lady Potters and East Liverpool in general always has a knack for doing that. So
we both picked Southern, so that's good, and we got through the other ones. So just to recap now, which games will be on the network and who will be on the call tonight? We will have United at Jackson Milton. This is a 6 o'clock start time. I will be on the call with Chris Sigler. We have East Palestine at Beaver Local. That one will be DJ Oakley on the call, the boss man, the CEO, the head honcho, getting the call in Beaver Local. Brookfield going to Lakeview. It'll be Matt Morrison on the call for that one. Camel Memorial at Hubbard. It'll be the school and the students at Hubbard taking care of that one. They did a great job with the two foundation games on Thursday and Friday night between the girls and the boys for both programs. LeBray will be at Niles, and Dom O'Brien will have the call at that one. That is a 7 o'clock start time as well. Latonia at Sebring. Ty, you'll have the call there. Expect a 6:30-ish start time. Sebring doesn't have enough to play a full JV unless they dramatically change since Friday. So it should be a 2-quarter JV if I'm not mistaken. And that should be around a 6:45, 6:30 start time between Latonia and Sebring. Marlington will be at Boardman. That game will be called by Richie Giuliano, getting his first basketball call on YSN. He does a great job for YSU as well. So he'll be on the call there at Boardman. Then you have Salem and Howland, and it'll be Noah Ricks on the call for that one. So those are all on the network tonight. Free to watch on ysnlive.com. Make sure to go to ysnlive.com/live. It'll have a list of all of the games that we carry on the network for the evening. And we want to wish the best of luck to all of our teams that are playing that will not be on the network tonight, but we will definitely get to them as the season goes on.
Yeah, 8 games on the network, 15 teams under the YSN banner being represented tonight. So get out there and watch them, all free of charge too, with a cast of different announcers too. So it should be a fun, exciting night with a lot of fun, exciting matchups.
Tomorrow we'll come back. We'll recap all the action. We'll pick the couple games that are happening tomorrow. We might have some other fun things in store for you tomorrow as well. We'll dive more into the playoff matchups of the state semifinals and a lot more tomorrow. From 12 to 2, we're taking a 22-hour break, Casual Sports Podcast, coming up next, and then Power Hour from 3 to 4, and then basketball all night on the network. So don't miss a minute of it. For me and Ty, we're signing off, and we will we will see you later. Have a wonderful week. You know what? We're just getting out because Anthony can't do anything right. So
see ya.